Hi, Purpose Partner. Welcome to another episode of Rise to Your Purpose, a personal and spiritual development podcast for female entrepreneurs with a mission. We are your hosts, Brandie and Natalie.
We are founders of Victorious Entrepreneurs Rising, where we guide women to build profitable businesses online through diversifying your income, using kingdom principles in marketing, and operating in a spirit of rest so that you can create kingdom impact.
After this episode, be sure to join our Purpose Partner Facebook community and get your copy of our Rise to Your Purpose devotional so we can continue to serve you as we partner together in our faith and business. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Rise to Your Purpose. I'm Natalie Lawson and I'm here with Erica Hostettler. We actually got to shout out her Aunt Mel and my friend Mel, who connected us just a few weeks ago, really. And I got to hear part of Erica's story. And I feel like she is just like the perfect person to come on and have on our podcast, because she is literally like one of the women that is actually doing the thing, rising to her purpose, really walking in her calling and helping other women do the same. And so was really excited for you guys to be able to hear what she has been up to over these last few years and how God is pivoting her in this season. And she just really had some amazing, I think too, just like life lessons and key points that are going to help you guys be able to take that and incorporate it into your own life as busy moms and entrepreneurs yourselves. So I'm going to share a little bit about Erica's background, and then I'll let her I'll share as well. So she is a Christian speaker, a writer, an encourager, and entrepreneur. And she has a decade worth of experience running her own fitness studio, followed by the pivot into what she now does, which includes helping overworked, overwhelmed, overexhausted women simplify their lives to focus on what truly matters. I think anybody hearing that is like, sign me up. Yes, I want that. And so she does this through online courses, speaking events, and is currently working on writing her first book. She'll is also helping launch legacy families with her husband through their company Countercultural. So I love that you and your husband are really partnered together too in your faith and your business. And I know you are very much about just faith, family, and the simple life. And so thank you for being on the podcast today and for coming to share, what God has done in your life and where you're at now. So do you want to share any more outside of that, what I just did with the women listening?
No, I think that's a really good start into who I am. And I appreciate you having me on here. And my heart really is just to encourage women who, have this deep desire in their heart that they know has been placed there by God, but maybe don't quite know how to navigate it or where to begin or feel overwhelmed. Because I think it's a feeling we all as women carry because we wear so many hats. It can be really hard to decipher where we're supposed to focus. And I feel like that has been my journey over the past decade. So yeah, I'm excited to dive into it a little bit with you.
Yeah, perfect. Well, and I know you definitely have had a journey over the past decade. And I was really just impressed with hearing and what when Mel was introducing us or kind of sharing about you, like that you had started your own studio. I think when you were was it end of high school or around high school?
Yeah. I was a sophomore in high school when I opened my first business.
Yeah,
So
I was like blown away by that. I thought, who else is thinking about starting their own business in high school? Not very many people, I don't think. So, so I love that you were already there. Now, was this something that were you inspired by your parents? Are they also entrepreneurs? And so that kind of spurred you into that as well?
yes, yeah. I think that I grew up, my mom opened a daycare when I was a baby. I'm 31 and she still has this company. So her company is 31 years old. She started it to be with us more. And I just watched her and my dad, just the nitty gritty of, building something from the ground up, which is truly what they did. And now she has carried over the past couple of decades, anywhere from 12 to 15 employees at a time. And she's in 4 locations in the surrounding counties and cared for thousands of children. And, it started in her kitchen and now there's locations. So I got a taste of that at a very young age. And so I've been exposed to the trials of a startup, like how hard that can actually be, but then the reward that comes, like my parents have the flexibility that my in-laws don't have to be with their grandkids and take trips. They're getting ready to take a month-long trip to all across the US on their motorcycle. So it pays off, but I also got to see the perseverance at the early stages too, which I think prepared me for where I am in life and what I've been doing.
So kind of walk us through, I think that's going to be the best way to kind of go about this episode is like walk us through your journey and like, yeah, starting your studio and kind of sharing a little bit about that and kind of what lessons you feel like you learned and took away from that that then has kind of led you where you are now.
Yeah, okay. So when I was about 13, my parents took us to a Christian concert, and there was a hip hop dance team there, but they were Christian based. And I had a love for dance at a very young age. I grew up in a small town. I graduated with maybe 75 kids, and we did not have a dance team. It was something I longed for, and we didn't have it. So my mom just really inspired and instilled in me at a young age, like, to do what you love, and let's make it happen. So she actually helped me open my first company at 15. And what that looked like was after school, I would walk to the local community center. I wasn't driving yet. And my mom would meet me there. And I would, collect payments from people, and I would teach 4 back-to-back classes from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and pay the rent that was due at the community center and get liability insurance, all these little things, learn about bookkeeping that she just taught me. She helped me open an LLC, and that kind of began at such a young age to show me like, wow, you really can do this. And I saved up enough to buy my first form of transportation, which was a motorcycle. So
Oh.
to me, yeah, that was like such a huge thing that I didn't realize then, but I realize now just how that began to show like what a little bit of perseverance can do. Because I did that for a few years in high school. And to make a long story short and in podcast form, my husband and I got married at 18. We met in high school. And so he joined the military. So I kind of just hung up that little dream of a fitness dance studio kind of on the side. And we went, and he spent 5 years in the Navy. But that dream was always inside of me. It was still in my heart. So when he got out of the military, we were from 18 to 22 was our time in the military. When he got out is when I reopened Soulfit, which was my company that I just spent the last decade building. And I took that little nugget of, hey, if you persevere for a little bit, you're going to see some reward that I learned at 15. And I began to apply that over the next decade. And believe me, there are so many hard moments, but it's so rewarding. And I think that's what the biggest lesson I've had as the Lord has been shifting me now into a whole new thing is looking at the reward along the journey, not just when you reach that goal.
Yeah, I love that. And so my sister and I actually grew up dancing too, and we love dance. And we didn't have a dance team. We both same graduated as a small, like maybe around 100 people. And so was my sister though. What's funny is like you took this vision of let's open a company, and we were like, let's start a dance team at our school. So we did end up starting a dance team because there wasn't one. But I love that your mom kind of had that background to say like, hey, you could literally make a business out of this. And then I love that you talk about the perseverance too. It kind of makes me think of the scripture from Hebrews 12:2, where it says, like, run your race with endurance. And, you were doing that. And the fact that you talk about it was hard because I think sometimes a lot of women or a lot of things are out there that try and make you think that, well, if you're walking in your calling, it should be easy and effortless and, everything should just be in a flow. And we do talk a lot about here inside of our community about like operating from a spirit of rest. But I think that's different than, hey, it doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. It's not going to, that you're not going to have to work for it, that you're not going to have to spend the hours or whatever and like learn it and persevere through those difficult times. So what would you maybe say to some of like the women who maybe are in there, they're started something new as new business or a company like something similar like you did, and they're in that like hard spot right now. and they're feeling like, well, am I even supposed to be doing this because of how hard it's been or how long it's taking me to get things going? What would you say to that person?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We want to take a moment and extend to you a special invite to partner with us in Girl Power Alliance. Inside Girl Power Alliance, we are so focused on helping you step into your kingdom identity and becoming the woman that God designed you to be. That's what the entire membership is built around. Inside of our membership, you have access to over 300 different modules, weekly live coaching calls, ICF certifications, and more that you get to plug into. Plus, you have a rich opportunity to build an income by sharing those things with others. We are a completely digital platform, so you don't have to worry about shipping product or providing things for people. We do all of that for you. You get the fun of just promoting and sharing Christ-centered resources to others. You have access to the opportunity of starting a digital business for less than $500, and your monthly overhead is less than $200 a month. To be a VIP member, it's only $150 a month, and yet the ability to grow in income has no limit to it. We are trying to bring kingdom believers back into the room. We have a vision of seeing more kingdom entrepreneurs in the world and more financially free believers that love Jesus. If you want to be in that room, make sure you connect with us. Join our movement by clicking on the link in the show notes. And we can't wait to welcome you into our family.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I can relate to all those questions and thoughts, and I think we all have them. And the first thing I would say is to just make sure that you're continually in prayer, because I think sometimes, for me at least, it's like this dream was dropped in my heart at 13 years old, but now I'm 31 with a 3 and 6-year-old. And sometimes we can take these little moments and build our whole life upon them. Not that that wasn't part of my season and part of my journey, and I'm so thankful for it. But if you're not continually in connection with the Lord and really listening to him, sometimes we can take our own wants and our own desires and like plow past the warning signs or the, hey, pause, like you and your husband are supposed to work together now. And it's like, no, but this was my end goal. You know, I had my eye on the wrong finish line. So first and foremost, I would say, make sure that you are hearing from God, that it is the right way, because when you are, it is more restful. But if you have heard from him and you are pursuing the path that he's calling you to, you can do it out of a spirit of rest, but also knowing that there are going to be hard moments. And, you know, I think about just Jesus's life, like how disciplined he was in so many areas, in all areas, you know, and it truly is, the entrepreneur journey can be a journey of discipline, because there are going to be days where you don't want to wake up and do the thing, or you're not seeing the fruit yet. And I would just encourage you that if you know this is where the Lord has put you, that you continue to put your eyes on Jesus and just ask him to help you have that spirit of discipline. Because just like anything, you know, my company was fitness and dance, so I can understand how the discipline is hard. I see that with clients all the time. But in our entrepreneur journey, it's the same thing. If you know that you're going towards the right finish line, you have to expect those moments. You have to ask the Lord to give you this spirit of discipline when the fruit isn't coming, knowing that if you run the race with endurance, the reward will come. And the reward may take longer than you hoped for, but if you're pursuing the right calling, it is absolutely worth it.
Yeah, I love that. And really just that partnership with God through it all is going to be imperative. And so kind of like you said, you're fast forward. So you've had this studio for 10 years. And I think when we were last talking, you said you just recently sold it, right? And you're
Yep.
moving into this now new season with you and your husband, and kind of going into that simple life and really helping women build in their faith and walk and, you know, really, like you said, get out of that kind of overworked, overwhelmed state. So tell us like, kind of how that pivot came about, and where you guys are now, and kind of what lessons have led in that area.
Yeah. So just to kind of piggyback off what I said, you know, I feel like sometimes it's easy in life to have this end goal in mind. And for me, I'm a big visionary. I'm a big dreamer. My end goal, and I truly felt like the Lord had spoke that to me. Like I didn't necessarily in the moment think it was I thought it was what he had put in my heart. My end goal was to make Soul Fit be like the biggest women's fitness franchise out there. And I was pursuing that. Like I had systems in place. I had been establishing all the right automations and all the right connections and all the things they tell you should do as an entrepreneur, right? Like posting all the time, and just this chaos is what it felt like. And that was okay when I was in my 20s and didn't have kids. Like I was able to maintain that life. And something funny happened in 2020 when COVID hit. You know, my fitness studio, it shut down for a while, and I had to make a pivot in that season because it was a piece of our income. And so I pivoted all of my members to an online membership. And my husband and I actually sold everything we owned. We sold our house, our cars, we bought an RV, and we traveled the US in our RV for 2 years with a 3-month-old and a 2-year-old. And we just got this taste of like another life where it was like, wow, we actually have a Tuesday morning to just sit and drink coffee. We have, because my husband had a lawn care business when I had the fitness studio. So we were burning it at both ends, you know, and trying to have a baby and a 2-year-old at the same time and keep up with a house and all the things that everyone's doing, right? That's our culture says we must do. And we just got this taste from 2020 to 2022 of a different life where we were like, wow, like there are people who are living countercultural and they're actually way healthier than us, way less stressed, and they're not chasing that dollar or that fitness franchise or that thing that is whatever your end goal is. So when we came back in 2022, I opened the studio back up because it was like my default mode. Like I said a few prayers about it, and I just thought, oh, now's the time to continue pursuing what I had started, instead of truly saying, wait, Lord, has that door closed? Has that season passed? Was I chasing the wrong finish line? I just started to pursue that finish line again, as if it was just automation, really. Like, okay, let's open it back up. Let's get systems in place. And actually, all of 2023, I did that and did it really well. Like I had a more financially successful year that year than any years before, because I had learned a lot, right? I had all these skills now that I didn't have at 21. And so I opened back up and was ready to begin to like do the franchise model. I already had all the documents in place. And the Lord just said, this was in April of this year, 2024. He said, you need to rest. It's time to let go. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? What? I just spent a year and a half reestablishing what I thought was your purpose for me. And I was completely confused. And it took me a solid 2 months to process and just spend time with the Lord. I got off social almost completely, and I just went into like what I call my soul sabbatical, where I just rested my mind and my emotions. And I'm like, Lord, is this really what you want? And he began to reveal to me how there were things I was missing in the midst of the hustle and bustle and the go, go, go. There were signs that he was showing me in my marriage and my children that I was just pushing past because I had my eye focused on the wrong end goal. And so over a season of a lot of let go and a lot of difficulty, he revealed to me that you need to put your eye on the right finish line this time. And that may look different than what you thought it was going to look like. And so in June, I had a PM trainer and an AM trainer, great trainers. And I sold my company to them a month ago today to pursue what he is calling us to. So
that's amazing. I really resonate with the letting go and that's what I was going to kind of ask you about. Like, did you feel like you heard like let go, but did it feel challenging to do that because you'd had it there for so long? Because
yeah,
happened to me when I was with the business for 7 years, and it was what really was funding my husband's, what we love to say, his God-sized dreams in filmmaking. And so I was like, well, Lord, I thought that was the plan. Now what's your plan? And so it was really hard to kind of let go of what you felt like you established and was supposed to be the plan and the purpose. But he kept telling me, don't despise your season of preparation. And like, I knew there was more to come, which is how we're in Kingdom Alliance now. But so what was that kind of feeling? I mean, I love that you kind of just stopped all the things and said, okay, I'll just hear from you.
I think God actually has been speaking to me about this spirit of preparation too, because the past couple months I've been like, what for? What was the past 10 years? It's felt like such a waste, right? Because I didn't hit the goal. And that's what he's been sharing to me is, no, it wasn't a waste at all. I prepared you so much. You learned so much to carry into this next thing. And it's funny. I mean, I already had my name signed on a 3-year commercial lease that thankfully the new owners are stepping into. But I believe God speaks in so many different ways, and anyone who has kids or nieces, or you might get a laugh out of this, but we went to see Kung Fu Panda 4, which is so silly. I was bawling in the middle of the movie because, and I'm not going to quote it great, but the Kung Fu guy, Kung Fu Panda, his mission was always to be the fighter, the warrior, and his guy told him, it's time for you to find a successor and step into more of a spiritual leader instead of the warrior on the ground. It's time to find your successor. And God had already kind of been stirring in my heart, like, man, this fast-paced craziness isn't going to give me the life I want for my kids. That involves homeschool and all these things. Yeah. And so we went to that movie and I just was bawling, and my 6-year-old's like, Mom, why are you crying? But it was like in that moment, I felt like Kung Fu. Because the panda then is like, just let me have one more fight. Let me fight one more time as a warrior. Like he doesn't want to go into spiritual leader and give up the warrior that he's been. And that was me. Like I carried so much identity with, no, Soul Fit is the company that I have put blood, sweat, and literally tears into, and all our investment into. And it was like, God's like, but it's time to give it to someone else who can carry the torch and it's time to go to that next thing. And for me, it was just, it's such a hard thing, but I've realized, and you talk about, 7 years in that company, it's so funny how we boxed God in, because it was like, I thought this was our financial freedom, generational wealth, like this was the thing that was going to set our family free forever. And God's like, do you not think that I can like 100x what you did? Like, why do you think that you... Right. We box him in like this was the only solution, as if you can't just blow up, 100 times bigger. And for me, that's been what he's showing me is it really comes down to a matter of trust. Do you trust that I am the author, or are you the author?
Yeah. And that's what I think that was the big lessons he's continues to teach me, right? More about trust, more about the surrender, and more about just like following in his footsteps. Yeah. And knowing that like, believing in Ephesians 3:20, like he can do more and will do more immeasurably, than what we think. And so believing in that, and then letting like him play that out for you in your life. So, and I love that a lot of times it's like you said, the things that it's not even what we think of usually or imagine. Like you probably didn't imagine that you'd go for 2 years and, RV with your family, or that now you and your husband would be starting a company together. So I love too, how he can shift those desires and dreams and morph them into really what he wants for us. But he'll still use what you did to help make that possible. So you talked about the next thing. So I know you said you do courses now, you're going to be having a book come out soon. So yeah, what are ways that women that you are serving women now and showing up, and tell us a little bit about that. And then how women can get connected to you. And we'll definitely put things like your links and stuff in the show notes as well. But I'd love to hear now what has been transpired, even just in maybe the last month or a few months as you've been preparing for this transition.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to ericahostettler.com and actually have a membership for ladies who are overworked, overwhelmed, overstressed, and aren't making that priority time with the Lord. And it's more just an accountability group where we get into the Word together and we encourage each other. And so that is sort of a piece of what I'm doing, helping women simplify. I have a free gift where you can, it's like the 10 hacks to simplifying your life. And I just go in detail about letting go of things and how to start to simplify so that you can focus on what matters. And that's really where I'm focusing right now in the book that I'm writing. It's called Vertical. And it's all about like when when your vertical relationship with God is rock solid, all the horizontal things start to fall into place. Because what I did was I would shift my personality depending on who I was around, or I would run. We got in an RV and we ran, and that's a story for another day. But the fact that my husband and I are even going into business together is just a God story, because he had depression and addiction, and I was going to be a single mom for quite some time. And so God just has flipped that whole thing. But in that season, I learned we got in the RV to run. We got in the RV to run from all of those things that we couldn't break free from. And only when we both became strong in our vertical relationship with the Lord, we didn't have to shift no more. We didn't have to run no more. We could just be. And so that is what I'm just sharing that message at churches. So if you have a church where you're looking for a speaker to come and share, it's a very real and raw journey of addiction and alcoholism and all the things that we have had to go through to learn that God is the only thing that can fill that soul. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm pursuing. And yeah, my husband and I are getting ready to start traveling again. Actually, we just have this deep calling in our soul to help the hurting, because we were just hurting for so long. And his story, he shares it beautifully, but we were just seeking for all the things that would fill life, business, like just all the titles, and it never did. And so that's what Countercultural is about. That's the company we're starting together, and it's countercultural.com. Just helping families simplify their life to focus on what actually matters, because these are the years that you can't get back. And when we chase the wrong things, we lose it. We lose those moments.
Yeah. Wow. That's so amazing. And yeah, like she said, we'll put those links by Hostettler.com and then countercultural.com as well in the show notes. But I just love hearing your story and what God has been doing through you and in you, and what he's going to do with you and your husband. I mean, I feel like that's where he's wanting to bring, I've been hearing more and more of like husbands and wives kind of really coming into unison. And because the enemy, I have also seen, he's been trying to break apart so many families. And I think that the more we can have that, like, I love that you call it that vertical, like that intimacy and that relationship with the Lord ourselves, and then bring that together in our marriage. Just that's what we need more of in this world, in this country, and to really help bring that redemption in families that are the enemy's just trying to destroy. And so I'm really love that that's what God has placed on your hearts, and that's what you guys are going to be doing. So we'll be praying for you, and just excited to see how the journey continues. And yeah, definitely go check out all of her resources and ways that you guys can get connected to Erica. But is there anything else you'd like to share before we close out today?
I don't think so. I would just say keep seeking the Lord and listen to what he's telling you, even when it doesn't make sense, because one day it will.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Well, thank you so much. And we'd love to hear from you guys. What were some of your key takeaways from, just listening to Erica and her story, and that you can start applying to your life? Leave a review, and we would look forward to connecting with you more. So thanks again, Erica, for your time, and we'll see everyone on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We would love to hear from you. So please share your takeaways by tagging @LiveVictorious over on Instagram and leave a review. This will help us get more visibility and reach more women like you for the kingdom. We appreciate you and are praying for you as you shine your light in the business world and rise to your purpose.